This is John Locke, and today we're going to talk about why all brands in the 21st century are built on content, digital content. If you're watching this, you're probably trying to figure out what's the one weird trick to make my site rank above all my competitors. I want to get Google traffic. I want people to come to my site. The bottom line is you're going to have to produce more content, more digital content to be on your site, and it's going to have to be of a very high quality. And I want to build a really compelling case about why all digital brands in the 21st century are being built on digital content. I'm going to harken back to an article that I read on my own site about the long creative history of content marketing. Now, a lot of people probably don't know this, but when you go to restaurants, and you'll notice that like the Michelin Guide, there's 3-star, 2-star, 1-star restaurants, and a lot of restaurants, they want to be in the Michelin Guide. Where did the Michelin Guide first come about? A long time ago, at the turn of the century, Michelin was trying to figure out how to sell more tires. They knew that a lot of people, rich people, had chauffeurs that would drive them around to different places, and they would use up the tires, and then they would have to buy more tires. So they created this restaurant guide, and first it was just in France, and then it expanded out to, all different nations, all different cities. But they basically created this restaurant guide of places that they would want to go see. The chauffeurs would drive people to these restaurants, they would wear down the tires, they would have to buy more tires. Something that's totally not related to tires at all is a piece of content marketing that is interesting to the customers, but also benefits the company. Keep that in mind because I'm going to come back to that later. Let's put it in the position of you. You're a small business. Maybe you're one person, maybe you're 2 people, maybe you're 5 people, maybe you're 10 people, and you're trying to figure out a way to grow. So how do you grow? Your head's down in your work all day long, you're providing your service to your customers, you really don't have time for marketing, maybe you don't have a marketing person. Maybe you have some social profiles out there, but you really are not super active on them. Maybe you don't publish like original content on your site very much. And so the only ways that you're really growing are word of mouth, face-to-face, or advertising. Let's look at each of these and see how they do. So as far as word of mouth, I do believe that word of mouth works. It works for certain things really well. Word of mouth is basically one-to-one communication. Somebody recommends somebody. It's usually going to be for high dollar purchases, but maybe your business is not in that model. Maybe you need to service a lot of people in order to grow your business. So word of mouth can definitely work. It can be part of your strategy. I don't think it should be the basis of your strategy if you're trying to grow. So face-to-face, definitely you can do face-to-face marketing. You can have somebody from your company go to the Chamber of Commerce, or if you have multiple Chamber of Commerces in your area like I do, you can go to all these different places, and definitely you can shake hands for a year, and then maybe people will call you up if they need your services. I mean, yeah, it's okay. I'm not talking against it, but it's definitely not a way that you're going to grow explosively. It's really still dependent on you being face-to-face in the same room. It's not a way to grow to the masses. So definitely advertising. There's lots of different ways that you can advertise. You can buy a TV commercial. That's usually pretty expensive. And then you're going to run it on a channel, like maybe a local channel. But here's the thing. There's so many channels on TV. Which channels are you going to advertise on? So the cost of producing a TV commercial and then advertising continually, that can work over time if you have a lot of money to spend. Same thing with print advertising. You can definitely buy a print ad in a magazine. Now, if it's a very targeted magazine, if it's a industry specific magazine, that might work for you. If you're just placing an ad in a regional magazine or a business magazine, a thing of that sort, it's going to cost you a lot of money. These ads generally cost a few thousand per ad, and then you're generally going to want to run that for 12 months. And to me, it's almost the same thing as just being involved in the Chamber of Commerce. It's an expensive way to advertise to a lot of people. There's a lot of better ways to do it, and I'm going to get to that right now. When it comes to how people consume information in the 21st century, it's really through only a few means. It's through their phone, their tablet, their laptop, their desktop computer, or their TV. Books and magazines are definitely still there. They're still popular, but they're not the predominant ways that we consume information. So it's all these things over here: phone, laptop, tablet, TV. So digital information is how people consume content. It's a fact of life. Your phone is the first thing you pick up in the morning. It's the last thing you put down before you go to bed at night. It's with you at all times. Let's say that you're a service provider. You're a contractor, you're an HVAC, you're a plumber, an electrician, whatever it is. There's going to be a lot of alternatives for people to hire in their hometown. whatever it is, whether it's a local search or it's a national search and you're selling a product, there's going to be a lot of options for people. You're not going to be the only option. So how do people make a decision? Well, generally they pick up their phone, they Google for service providers of your type in whatever the area is, national or local, and they're going to compare, and they're going to look at the websites, and they're going to look at the information that's on the websites. Or maybe they have a question and they're not really going to make a purchase for another couple months, but they're thinking about it, it's on their mind, and so they're Googling a question. Let's say they go to your website first. Let's just say this. Oh, look, this website looks like it was built in the year 2000. It's got 5 pages on it. It really doesn't have a lot of depth of information on it, and it really doesn't answer any of the pre-sales questions that I have about what I'm buying. Okay, so we're going to move on, and we're going to go to other service providers. Oh, look, this site not only looks good, but it looks like they have a lot of information that answers a lot of the questions that I have about what I'm trying to buy. They are probably going to be the ones that get chosen. Here's the thing that people don't understand about digital content, and why I say that is what builds your brand. If people don't have any other information to go by, they're going to look at reviews, they're going to look at your website, and they're going to judge your credibility by those 2 things alone. If you don't have any other digital content out there, not on social, not on your website, you're going to be judged by those things alone. So here's the thing that people don't understand. They get so caught up in the work of doing the day-to-day. Hey, I'm doing this work. You don't produce any additional pages for your site. And so you look indistinguishable from the 900 other people that are within a 50-mile radius of your base of operations. Digital content, it is how you answer questions, it's how you build trust. Every page you publish on your site is a chance for you to be found and indexed in Google and be found by your customers later. This is what people don't get. If you just have a basic site that says, here I am, here's what I do, choose me over all the other competitors in my space, it's not going to happen unless you have other things that help people make an informed, educated decision to choose you. This is why you see enterprise level brands that have extensive websites with lots of information. You will never see an enterprise level site that just has 5 pages, but you will see that all the time in small business. Now, I'm not saying that you need to have 10,000 pages on your site, but take a lesson from what large enterprise level brands are doing. They have things like webinars, PDFs, they have informational pages, they answer every single question that you could ever have about how to use their products. They give you lots of ways to contact them. They have robust social media profiles in which they're recycling the content that they put on their website and then they're putting it on social media. Now, social media is definitely part of the puzzle. I wouldn't say it's the main piece of the puzzle, but it's a satellite extension of your brand. This is another way that people can consume your content. I want to point out a brand that's doing digital content creation exceptional, and you tell me what you think. So, you know, energy drinks is a really competitive space, and it started with Red Bull. So Red Bull was a brand that was created, it was over 30 years ago. Right now, you have lots of choices for energy drinks. The market is completely saturated. How does Red Bull stand out? Think about their slogan, Red Bull gives you wings. They want to associate their product with performance that is exceptional and extraordinary. So what do? They spend a lot of money sponsoring all types of events that are extreme sports. The X Games, the guy who went to the literal edge of space and jumped off and parachuted. They sponsor the event where people make their flying machines and then they end up going in the ocean. They sponsor all sorts of things, whether it's motorbike racing, extreme sports, breakdancing events. Their message is very clear. They want to be associated with people who are pushing the limits of human endurance. And again, it's Red Bull gives you wings. Their logo is plastered all over these events, but it's not just being seen by the people who are in attendance live at these events. No. What do? They take these events, they film these events, and then they turn them into videos which are then put onto their YouTube channel, they're put onto their website, and people associate their brand with these extreme activities. And this is why, in a world in which there's 500 energy drinks, they're positioned as the top shelf energy drink. Maybe they're not the cheapest, but they're definitely the best. They're one of the only brands doing content marketing to this level and associating their brand with extreme activities and then getting compelling content that is really absolutely nothing to do with energy drinks, but still Their logo is on all these things that you're watching on YouTube. Tell me that you didn't watch that video of the guy jumping from the literal edge of space and parachuting down to Earth successfully. Tell me that that was not a great video. Their brand is becoming memorable in a way because they're positioning themselves next to these extreme events. There's a couple other brands that I want to point out that are doing this really well. Zillow is doing this. They've done a whole YouTube series on people that are making types of homes that are in vogue. There's a guy in Texas, he's building homes that look like creations out of fairy tales. They've done, I think, about 4 or 5 videos on tiny homes. They've done a whole series of videos on homes that are built on the water. So it's all these things that people are already sharing on Pinterest and Instagram. People have a strong desire to live in something like that because it's a better version of themselves. Zillow is smart because they're telling the stories. They're not selling you real estate directly, but they're giving you something that's tangentially related to what they're selling and then positioning themselves right next to it. Another great example of this is the car market, where it is completely flooded. There's 500 different types of cars that you can buy, but what Acura has done is something very smart. They're giving people consumable content that happens to have their brand and their logo inserted in there. If you've ever been on YouTube, or if you've ever seen the series Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, it's Jerry Seinfeld. He'll go out, he'll get a vintage car or some really cool, desirable car. He'll go pick up a famous comedian, they'll go get coffee somewhere, and they'll just talk. Comedy is one of those things that's consumable content. People like to watch comedians. It makes them laugh. Everybody has a favorite comedian. In the middle and at the very end of these, there's just a brief mention of Acura as the sponsor. This is really smart. They're not creating a commercial, but they're creating something that'll be consumed by people that will discover these throughout time. As a small business owner, there's definitely things that you can do that are tangentially related to the service that you provide. I have a person locally that I've done web development for. They do physical therapy. They sponsor the CrossFit challenges. I know that they've sponsored local athletes in the past. What would be better is create some sort of original content where their brand is prominent, but it's giving people some other sort of thing to consume. So what can you do for your site? Think about it. There's lots of questions that people ask. You can make videos out of it. Have a page on your site. You can then recycle that content that's on your website and on your YouTube channel into different things like social media. Every page on your site is another chance for Google to rank you and another chance for your customers to find you. It's another chance to be compelling. I'm not saying that you should go out and do content marketing like some of these other brands have done, but what I'm saying to you is you should have the basics of having a site that has a depth of information about what you're doing and your service to where people can make an educated decision and choose you in a way that you can distinguish yourself from your competition and the rest of the people that just have 5 plain pages on their site. And there's really no other way to decide between you and them and the 15 other people within a 10-mile radius except for Google reviews. You want to give yourself a competitive edge, and having some sort of digital content on your site, that's what you should do. All brands are being built on digital content in the 21st century. My name is John Locke. My business is Lockdown Design and SEO. We help manufacturing and industrial companies get more organic traffic to their sites so they get requests for quotes. If you have an SEO question that you'd like to see us answer, go ahead and leave it in the comments below and we will answer it for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and peace.